Michael and Sweetie were an unusual pair. He, a picture of quiet strength and humility. She, a whirlwind of color and sharp words. Their marriage, arranged by their families, was a constant source of gossip. People whispered. They judged. How could two people so different find happiness together? Michael, despite his wealth, chose simplicity. He preferred faded shirts and worn-out sandals. He found joy in helping others, often working in the local community. Sweetie, blinded by appearances, saw only a man who didn't match her ambitions. She craved luxury and attention, things Michael seemed uninterested in providing. Their differences were never more apparent than in their interactions. Sweetie's words were often barbed, laced with criticism and disdain. She chided him for his appearance, his lack of ambition, his simple lifestyle. Michael, however, met her barbs with a calm smile and unwavering patience. He never retaliated, choosing instead to shower her with kindness and understanding. Despite the constant friction, Michael held on to hope. He believed that one day, Sweetie would see beyond the surface, that she would recognize the love and respect he held for her. He continued to be the steady presence in her life, a silent pillar of support despite her constant rebukes. Sweetie, blinded by her own desires, failed to see Michael's true nature. She mistook his silence for weakness, his humility for a lack of spirit. Her friends, echoing her sentiments, fueled her disdain for him. They saw him as a mismatch, a burden on her bright future. "Why do you even bother, Sweetie?" they would ask, their voices dripping with feigned concern. "He's holding you back. You deserve so much better." Their words resonated with Sweetie's own insecurities. She compared Michael to the successful, flamboyant men she saw around her. The comparison always left her feeling wanting, further fueling her resentment towards him. Michael, aware of the whispers and judgments, never let them dim his spirit. He continued to be her anchor, a steady presence in the storm of her discontent. He shouldered her insults with grace, her anger with understanding. He believed that true love was about acceptance, about loving someone for who they were, flaws and all. His patience, however, was about to be tested. An upcoming family function, a grand celebration of life and legacy, would bring their differences to the forefront. It was a stage set for confrontation, a crucible where their true characters would be revealed. The death of Sweetie's father had shifted the family dynamics. As the sole heir to his wealth and businesses, Sweetie found herself thrust into a position of power. Her mother, fragile and grieving, leaned heavily on her, further inflating Sweetie's sense of self-importance. Michael, ever the supportive presence, tried to help Sweetie navigate these turbulent times. He offered advice, a listening ear, and a shoulder to cry on. His attempts, however, were met with scorn and rejection. Sweetie, drunk on her newfound power, saw his support as interference, his concern as a challenge to her authority. The upcoming family function, a celebration of Sweetie's late father's life, was a testament to their wealth and influence. Guests from all walks of life were invited, powerful businessmen, socialites, distant relatives eager to bask in the family's glory. Sweetie saw it as an opportunity to showcase her status, to solidify her position in this new world. Michael, as always, was relegated to the sidelines. He was an afterthought, an obligation Sweetie had to fulfill. She instructed him to dress simply, to blend in with the staff, not wanting his presence to detract from her moment in the spotlight. Michael, despite the slight, agreed. He understood the importance of the occasion for Sweetie. He knew that his presence, his true identity, would only complicate matters. He chose to remain in the shadows, a silent observer to the unfolding drama. The day of the function arrived in a flurry of activity. The house was decorated like a palace, shimmering with lights and echoing with the sounds of laughter and music. Sweetie, resplendent in a designer gown and sparkling jewels, was the center of attention. Her friends, equally glamorous, flitted around her, showering her with compliments and feeding her ego. Michael, true to his word, remained inconspicuous. Dressed in a simple white kurta, he blended in with the staff, his presence barely acknowledged by Sweetie and her entourage. He watched from a distance as Sweetie charmed the guests, her laughter echoing through the grand hall. The highlight of the evening was a speech by Sweetie. Standing on a podium, bathed in the warm glow of the spotlight, she spoke about her father, his legacy, and her plans for the future. The guests listened with rapt attention, their applause echoing her every word. As Sweetie basked in the adulation, a hush fell over the crowd. A group of distinguished gentlemen had entered the hall, their faces etched with an air of quiet authority. Sweetie, momentarily thrown off balance, watched as they made their way towards her. The man leading the group, his eyes twinkling with amusement, approached Sweetie. He extended his hand, a warm smile gracing his lips. "Sweetie," he said, his voice carrying across the silent hall. "I believe you remember my son, Michael." The silence in the hall was deafening. All eyes turned towards Michael, who stood quietly at the edge of the crowd. Sweetie, her face pale, stared at the man in front of her, her mind struggling to grasp the situation. "Your son?" she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. But he's Michael." The man chuckled, his eyes twinkling with amusement. "And yes, he might prefer simplicity, but that doesn't change the fact that he's one of the most brilliant businessmen I know. He chose to support you in his own way, Sweetie. He wanted you to find your own footing, to make your father proud." The revelation hit Sweetie like a thunderbolt. The pieces of the puzzle fell into place. Michael's quiet strength, his unwavering support, his disinterest in material possessions. It all made sense now. He wasn't a man of limited means. He was a man of immeasurable wealth who chose to live a life of humility. The guests, their whispers filling the hall, watched as Sweetie turned towards Michael. Her eyes, filled with a mixture of shame and newfound respect, met his. In that moment, she saw him for who he truly was. Not the man she thought she'd married, but a man of integrity, humility, and unwavering love. The function continued, but the atmosphere had shifted. The revelation of Michael's true identity had cast a new light on everything. Sweetie, humbled and ashamed, spent the rest of the evening trying to make amends. Her friends, their faces etched with a mixture of shock and awe, could only watch as the man they had so easily dismissed became the center of attention. The story of Michael and Sweetie became a legend, a tale whispered in hushed tones. It served as a reminder that true worth lay not in outward appearances or material possessions, but in the content of one's character. It was a testament to the power of humility, the enduring strength of quiet resilience, and the transformative power of love.